Hey everybody, welcome to another First Impressions video here on the channel. This is Moo Reaper. Today we're looking at Pompeii the Legacy, a solo project from developer Sergio Cos. You can find him on Twitter. You'll see the Steam link to this game that is still in development. I did get a chance to play this alpha version of the game. Really far along in development in my opinion, given the quality. You're looking at the opening cinematic as you hear me talking here. There is a lot to love about this game, just simply because it's one guy that put it all together. I've been following the project for some time now, a little over a year actually, and the developer has produced everything, done his own research. The game itself set in the time of ancient Rome, and you guessed it, you're a citizen of the empire that has been tasked with developing near the famous volcano of on Pompeii, and the game itself has a lot going for it. Like I said, the polish is clear. The handcrafted nature of the game is apparent. It's got your traditional RTS mechanics built in, with what I think to be some very cool maybe additions or variants on what we typically see used in this genre of game. One thing I do appreciate, and you'll see me in a second do this with the building blocks, but they have several different visual variants that you can kind of toggle between, so that your settlement looks varied. It looks like it has a little bit of character to it. Not only can you rotate them, but you can change their visual look to some extent as well. The interface, I did ask this question maybe about a month before being able to play the playtest here, but the developer did kind of mock up what he wanted for his UI, and you can see here it's got the staple visuals and kind of heads-up display that you're used to seeing in RTS games, with a little bit of that Roman influence, that Roman flair. Of course, not everything being available here in the alpha, but you've got a map here beautifully rendered on the screen. Looks like there's opportunities there to trade with different settlements, maybe even expand your settlement beyond this initial settlement in Pompeii. But man, I can't say enough about how far along this game is for one person to be putting this together. The amount of information I think that has been pulled from the historical record to ground this experience in something that might be familiar to somebody who's casually familiar with what happened in ancient Rome, and just the far extent of the empire, and managing such a vast set of holdings is going to be very apparent. I thought that the portraits were really well done. My only criticism here is that there's a little bit too much they've almost got a plastic shine to them, but that might be the art style that the developer's going for. They seem to kind of sit on top of the other layer of the UI, so I was looking for a little bit more of a flatter painterly style, especially given that the portraits themselves don't animate. Now, speaking of the portrait work and who you do see in terms of the royal family, and the sort of on-screen guide you get from your city manager and some outside influencers, I think that's really well done. I think it's done in a way that has a lot of flavor, and it doesn't necessarily break the fourth wall. You have opportunities for various traders and advisors to present you with opportunities to make a quick bit of coin. They'll actually front you some coin to get the job done, and then incentivize you to complete it in a certain time frame, which I think is a really good spin on some of the staler parts of RTS sometimes, in that it can get a little bit formulaic. I thought that the grid style placement was sufficient. It's been a while since I've played one of these games, and I'll admit I'm a little rusty, but I thought that the road system was well developed. I did see, even though when I built the roads, the citizenry seemed to just kind of cut across the grass anyway. I'm not sure if it was only those citizens that maybe were completing a specific task if they were going to use the road. But I did notice that the roads, and to some extent, didn't necessarily always get utilized. You can see I expand my settlement here. I think the biggest bottleneck I faced, and then again, this is just because I'm a rookie, I faced a population bottleneck. At one point, I mean, my resources were kind of, they were coming in so quickly that I needed to actually I need to expand my depots, I needed to shut off all my production, I needed to gather taxes more quickly. Which the tax office is something that you can get later on, and there's some limited gameplay options here because it is the alpha and some of the stuff's still in development, but you can still see kind of far into the future of the tech tree, which you'll see here in a little bit, that there's opportunities to make things a little bit less strained in terms of resources. The tech tree itself I thought was expected. In terms of the kind of the layout and the types of technologies you could expect for the time period, and just how tech trees typically work inside of RTSs. There seems to be a technology tech tree and then a society tech tree that is not available and was not available. As somebody who is a kind of a completionist of sorts, but also does like to see data. The data available in the menu system here in Pompeii was exhaustive. I mean, you can see rates of gathering, your expenditures, your tax rates, what you're getting from each unit, and how much you've gained over time, how much you've lost. Like you got line graphs in there. I thought that was really cool. As I expect your empire to grow and your management duties to grow, looking at it from that kind of top-down perspective is going to be facilitated by all of those graphs. The buildings themselves, once you place them, while there were several buildings, a wide variety of buildings that had many different functions, you also had the ability to upgrade through the tech tree and then individually in the building their capacity or their efficiency, which I thought was a nice little bit of micro progression. And for those of you, in RTSs that min-max and you're trying to be really tight about your building placement and again, your expenses versus what you're taking in, I think that's a great opportunity. Forgive me for anybody who's looking at my city and thinking it's a disaster. I thought I was kind of putting things together in a more compact way. One thing I will say, and you'll see me do this in the video here, every season, when the seasons change, you're still kind of, the trees are dying, but you're gathering the wood. I really wanted to clear this patch that I had in my city, this patch of trees, but they were, I think the issue now in hindsight is actually that I had my woodsman building here placed inside of that tree pocket, and it's designed in such a way that yes, you are harvesting the trees, but you're replanting them. So in hindsight, this is my error. It looks like once you place that, it'll constantly regenerate the tree. So if you are intending to kind of clear a plot of land, you need to place the woodsman node inside of a forest that you continuously regenerate, and then if you want to make a nice clean plot for your city, you should avoid placing it there. So yeah, so eventually, like I said, you see these errors in the middle of the screen. You're constantly getting reminded whether or not you're kind of capping it on space, which is kind of hindering your production there. Get a second to zoom in on these models, beautifully rendered, a lot of detail, guys. Take a moment to zoom in on your city. There's a lot of really nice props and assets used to make the city come to life, and I know that a lot of work was put into that over time because I've seen the development of the game as it's gone on. Like I said, visually, I think that the game itself has a lot of character. I think that in 2025 it still looks visually appealing. Outside of this one limited map we have on the slopes of Pompeii, I think that there's a lot of opportunity to leverage the assets in different environments around the Mediterranean and throughout the Roman Empire. You see me here kind of doing the last bit of tech placement here. you're connecting to the outside parts of the empire here by building a port, and I thought it was really cool that the game has this the floating tooltip to tell you where to place these buildings, these major buildings, based on their function. To build clay bricks, you have to place it near, close enough to water to where you would naturally find clay. You have to place your mines on the slopes of mountains, and so that you can gather stone and iron. You obviously have to place the fishery near the coast. Like I think that these things are really well done in terms of how the game instructs you, and where the buildings need to be placed. The citizenry mechanics I didn't get to experience a lot because of the limitations of the available tech in the demo here, but there does seem to be a happiness indicator for citizens. You see me placing some trees and some statues here. They seem to complement each other. They'll tell you which ones need to be placed near each other to get the maximum benefit. The same thing can be said of the different shrines and monuments you see me build here in the middle of the screen, as I rapidly try to address a population issue. But again, more to be explored once the demo expands or the game gets further along in development. I know that's true of comparable games like Civilization, for example, or Age of Empires. I'm not sure if that happiness, if that gets so low, perhaps there's some consequence to that. And so I'd be interested to see that if I get a chance to jump back in the game in the future. So one notable absence from the demo, and you probably noticed this already, is that you're not able to experience combat. In fact, you cannot build any combat buildings, and you cannot build any combat units. And so that is something I can't comment on because it is not currently available in the demo. This is very much focused on the upkeep aspect of RTSs in the demo currently. Your population management, your gathering of resources, movement around your city with and some slight tech tree advancement. So you see here right at the end, I managed to delete my port right after they said congratulations for building your port, and it took me a while actually to get all the tools and the materials necessary to build it because I was choked on my resources. But there we go, we went and placed it right at the end. Guys, I can't say enough about how much I enjoyed the demo. I do hope you check it out too, and as always, until next time, bye bye.